Tene tatari ngara chuntin hipi kapla chinamba kangaga dalin yapu nangne chunyamba la pe kawaji sararimbo ni kashi sararimbo ni pe tene kashi ta nyesani inaya lega tenzo yune pepa tene chula deba chimbo to mungu chimbo yebe tandabu rezamne pe gawada zhuwa chimbo chong la tene tuji che hyuye tene deji so ngarang ke namjin tar to dojin chong chong na sonde che yin dengi yin la tene dika so lo tsawe lama tong jipe lama tong che la deba to mungu chi ni sowa tab nang ro che.
So now you all have come here on this evening when I am teaching the Dharma, and some of you have come from a far away. You've gone to a lot of difficulty to get here. And some of you come from nearby, but even though you're nearby, you have plenty of other things to do, and you've put them all aside. And so I think this is actually a sign of what great faith and devotion you all have in the Dharma. And so it's delightful and wonderful to see you all here. Thank you very much for coming. And then, as usual, I would like to start with reciting the Vajrayana lineage prayer. And so as we recite the Vajrayana lineage prayer, please chant with great faith and devotion in the root and lineage lamas. O dorje chanjen telo narotang marba mila chuje gambo bang du son sheja
Tene ta togong ge kapso jerdo ta che namba tanda tambichula depa ton mugu ton troa jingu gone peparela tene te tabu ge depa ton mugu compelto sona ta tambichu ge nyamne yapodo yo warela tambichu ge nyamne yapodo na dela tene tartu kundebu topa te yang topa jela droa imbe cherna tene ta compelto ndo ge tabla jengu ge yo warela te zembar chepala tene jasi hiwa laga songna tene njukjung jepar chawe chirsan nandatar zain te to se ta tanda tambi chu gola hiyo tambi chu la tu somna nyamne na ta te kompel tondro ke tabla tene tuk te zain te sem te zain te truwa chi ta tene se na tene maungpala rinpi kompel tondro ke yorela tene junsin teacher na sep zain te pato truwa chi pate pe kal chewa re songrela tene ta te tabla somne ta ngarange jitang tambi chu tarwe ke penyan ta tambi chu che gola hyupe ke penyan ta tene te yendo tambi chu nyamne chebe ke penyan ta bota tende ke koro shuju che ta te na ne mixal to ta tari jasa shambang ke song Jambi chu de nga, jamchu de nga si yorela. Di na ne ta tanda unta namji de hyoji imbe cherna. Unta namji de sen na ta tela de ne rebu tong pentu ja chenpon jung kor de si hyo na de ne chen namba tula. Gawa tong chowa che ge re sombe ge ti kor de si hyo na som.
Now, this evening, all of you have come with great faith and devotion and excitement about the Dharma. And so this is wonderful, but this is something that we need to really increase, because if this increases, then your practice will go well. And if your practice goes well and increases, then you will be able to properly attain the ultimate result of your Dharma practice. And so you'll be able to increase this. And so the reasons for the way that we can increase this is that we need to be diligent about the Dharma. And in order to do that, we need to do what the great teacher Shantideva says that we need to do. She says, after the wise have grasped the purest bodhicitta, to embrace it and develop it, they sing its lofty praises. And so when we have entered the gate of the Dharma, and we've begun to study and contemplate the Dharma, when we have begun to actually practice the Dharma, then we need to actually perk ourselves up. We need to lift ourselves up and sing the lofty praises of what we're doing. If we are excited about what we are doing, then in the future it will continue to increase and develop and get better. And so for that reason, if we sort of perk up our minds, if we are excited about what we are doing, it is very important. And so for that reason, I thought that this evening I would speak about the practice, about the benefits of the Dharma having spread, and about the benefits of engaging in Dharma practice, and also about the benefits of actually doing the practice. And so that is what I will speak about this evening. And in particular, I would like to speak about this text of Maitreya that we will be studying over the next few days. This is one of the 5 dharmas of Maitreya. And so this is differentiating the middle from the extremes by Maitreya. And it's important to understand how it is that by listening to this, it'll actually help us so that we can actually come to a proper result from our Dharma practice. And so I thought I would explain that a bit this evening as well, so that you all can listen to the teachings over the next few days with a sense of excitement and happiness about it.
Tene ta teya ta tandang ranso number sanjibe chu la jerdo tipasam yor tipasam se na nyentu ji tipata janchu sembe tipata soho doji tipate somchung re la tene te tabu tipasum khate tamba job sunji jamdin de ji nguso sunwan ze pare 다 durja tumo wa namjengwa la nyentu ji tikpa sa tene te je so tumo ma imba shongchu semba namjengwa la shongchu sembe dene sa tene tumo ma imba kalba dang temba na la songho doji tipe tang be chujung ko lo kor ne tikpa som jemba re la tikpa som jemba tarto sanji chom den de ji chung te tarto 다치 durja tumo ka nongo to tumo ma imbe nongo la tambe chu chu ko kor na ware te korwa yendo ta tambe chu te rimbe ka tare yung kapsula tene nyentu durja susu ka kalba tang tambala tene nyentu je tipa zo chewa tarwe ka kap je ta shongchu sembe de ne zo chewa tarwe ka kap je ta songho doje tipa tumo ma imba zo chewa tarwe kap ta kap te number some
Now, in the Buddhist teachings, there are primarily 3 different vehicles or 3 different yanas. There is the vehicle of the listeners, the vehicle of the bodhisattvas, and the vehicle of the secret mantra Vajrayana. All 3 of these vehicles were taught were actually taught by the Buddha. When the Buddha taught the Dharma, he taught the common vehicles of the common teachings to the listeners. he taught the particular teachings to the bodhisattvas, and that is where he taught the teachings of the basket of the teachings on bodhicitta and the bodhisattvas. Then for those fortunate students, the special fortunate students, he also taught the teachings of the secret mantra Vajrayana. So these are the three vehicles that the Buddha taught. And so in that way, for all the students, whether the students of the general teachings of Buddhism or the teachings of the particular teachings of the Buddhism, he taught the specific teachings for them. And likewise, when the Dharma spread, there were different times that happened for the different needs of the students of that time. So there was a time when it was most appropriate for the students of the listener vehicle, so there was a time for the listener vehicle. Then there was a time when primarily the teachings of the Mahayana spread. And then there also was a time when primarily the teachings of the Vajrayana spread. So in this way, there are sort of three phases to the spread of the Dharma.
Tene ta te ya tangpo nyintu zo chewa ta kap ta ba je yin na ya ta di kap su nyintu je lam de la nyo ne ta tambe chu nyang se len ke som ji ma cha pa mang bo chen ba re la di chen ba te ya tene tham ji ndebu zang bo thop ne per na da chang bo kong phong thop ba som ji ma cha pa mang bo sang da chang bo kong phong thop ne tene nye mo ba tong nye mo ba tong ji pang de pong ba tong de yong ma je tene tan da zun chur tong nge he tong nyom tang to ba che par chin je la ji ne tar tu kan de da chang lo mi ji en so pen kin som ji ma cha pa ta tene ka hi ngu so da chang ba ma thon na ya da chang bo kong phong la tha nye wa ta nyi tu ji ti pa tang tam be ge lam ram ba yin do la de ne tene je wa ji ki da chang bo kong phong ma thon na ya je wa ni ji da chang bo kong phong to pa tene je wa som ji go ne da chang ba to pa la so pa som ji ma cha pa mang bo chen ba re la ta de ta bo nyi tu ji ti pa la yo nyi tu ji ti pa ge lam ne tene lam la chen be ge de che par chin to pa som ji ma cha pa mang bo chung wa re.
So first, in the period when the teachings of the listener vehicle spread widely, then there were many students who were attracted to this and who entered the teachings of the listener vehicle. And so there was an incredible number of these students who started to practice and who attained results from it. There were an immeasurable number of students who attained the result of an arhat, where they have eliminated all of the afflictions and all of the near afflictions. And not only did they eliminate all the afflictions, many of them also attained the powers to be able to do miracles or clairvoyant powers and great experience and realization. Many of them attained the ultimate result of attaining the state of an arhat without remainder. Now, there are some who did not actually attain that state of an arhat without remainder in one life, but who also came very close to that. They progressed down the paths of the listener vehicle, and so they came to a point where they were able to attain the state of arhat after maybe one more rebirth. There are also many who attained a state where they would be able to attain the state of an arhat after 2 rebirths, and many who were able to attain the state of arhat after 3 rebirths. And so there were an incredible number of beings who were able to attain those sort of results by entering the path of the listeners. They studied, they were diligent, and through this there were many beings who attained great results through their practice.
Tene ta tela ya sen je ong ta se na tipa member ta bu ya tipa chungun da bu shogi yo re la te shogu be jun sen te kan de se na kon nam be ge nyam so len be ka so la ran da zur sin ran re bu top ge cher to lam la yo lam la zen ba yin be chen na tipa chungun da bu shogi yo re la tene ta te je so rem je tene tambe chue de jempel to son ne tene ta tipa chimbu ge chue de tarwarela tipa chimbo da tipa chunguni ge chepar kari yoresena tene yenden zo chewa droba jaita tene senchi tomchi gitana zengu pige tuji ja chenpo yebala tene tipa chenpo hyo yewarela tene tiji so tipa chenpo zo chewa tarwe kap chungwarela tene tipa chenpo zo chewa tarwe kap sulaya tene ben kepa tong tutu chepar chin somji mechapa mambo san tene zanglin zipar chipi jing chukse tene pangan papa ludu tong tomi la sopa chepar chin mambo san tene tige rangdang on se na susu ge tene drevo zombo chepar chin topata yendang on se na sanji ge temba pel ne senji yin mambo la pen topa ta tende somji mechapa chembare.
Now, in terms of the name of this vehicle, in Sanskrit it's called the Hinayana, which means the lesser or the lower vehicle. And the reason why it is called Hinayana is that the main practice is to benefit themselves. So that is the main practice they do, is to bring benefit and attain a result for themselves. And for that reason, it's a little bit limited. So it is called the Hinayana for that reason. And then gradually, as things developed, there was the Mahayana. And as the Mahayana spread widely, then the primary difference between the Mahayana and the Hinayana is that the Mahayana primarily puts the emphasis on the working for the sake of others, practicing to benefit all the limitless numbers of sentient beings, and to be able to, and so for that way, in that reason, there is a really vast resolve there, and that is the Mahayana, or the great vehicle practice. And so at the times when the Mahayana was the primarily spread, then there were an incredible number of scholars and great masters and meditators who appeared. For instance, there were the 6 ornaments who beautified the world, and these included the masters such as Nagarjuna and Asanga, and many other masters. There are an inconceivable numbers of great scholars and meditators who appeared, and they brought great benefit to themselves by being able to attain good results for themselves. And they also brought great benefit to others by spreading the teachings of the Buddha. And so by spreading the teachings of the Buddha, they were able to benefit an inconceivable number of other sentient beings.
Tene ta te jeso songa doje tipa to chewa tarwe kap chungare la songa doje tipa to chewa tarwe kap la ta te tikpa chimbo ta songa doje tipa ni che lam la che mandrawa ge che prakare yo re se na tikpa chimbo ge ta tangbo tu somna tene te jeso tene tomba ni che tan ta shirap jingo pelwe ge serto toni je tan to chuji yen je nelu te zo chewa nyam so long ne tene remji lam la hyote tene rangin je tan ni linji tropa ji nang yo re la tene songho doji tipa te tabo le ta cher do shongchu senji kom don senji ton ji khorwa dong ji jan so le dande ge lo te tipa chimbo tar do yo re te yin na yo chu nyam so lembe ka so la menga ge ne dan dan ba se du tene yiram je la jeram gam ba ta tene te gen do zoram gam te shaja chimbu ge menga la so pa gam te dangwa ten so pel ta tinde na ne songho doji tipa cho chewa tar ge kapte chungwa re la tene songho doji tipa cho chewa tar ge kapte la ya tan rebu tan demba kandi chungwa re se na tene jagar phabi yo do tutu chimbo je cho za ye tene ta chepar tom phaba tutu chimbo je la so pa samji ma ja pa chambare la tene te ya tene potru ba to pa to motru ba to pa tene te yendo tanda jelam mandawa ta susuge jelam na yendo la shaja chimbo ta zopa chimbo la so pa nyamli na ne tartu kun devo topic tutu chepar chin samji ma ja pa san ne ta songho do jiti bi chu te tarwa te la devo chepar chin ta tinde chone chu nyam su la na devo top top tinde chore la ta tin rebu te ya sera mambo la re ma gba che chi luji ge sunju dojin chong ko kompon topata se chi luji ge sunju ko doji chong ko kompon ma thab na ya ta che wa chi ni ge je la sanje tartu dojin chong ko kompon topata tin de na wa re.
And then following that, there was the period when primarily the Vajrayana teachings spread. And so at that time, what was actually the distinction between the Mahayana teachings and the secret mantra Vajrayana teachings? Well, in the Mahayana teachings, first one engages in listening and contemplation. And through that, you come to understand the meaning of emptiness and the essence of intelligence and full knowing, wisdom. And then you primarily practice by meditating upon emptiness and on the essence of the Dharma nature. And through doing that, you gradually move down the path to a point where you can spontaneously accomplish the benefit for yourselves and for others. Now, the secret mantra Vajrayana is similar in that to the Mahayana, in that you also have the motivation of bodhicitta, and you also are practicing for the benefit of all sentient beings, just like in the Mahayana. Because it has the real points of the instructions, the points of meditating upon the creation phase practices of deities, and the points of the practicing on the completion stage, there are the meditations of Mahamudra and so forth. And through these instructions, you're able to progress. So these instructions spread, and there was this time when the main practice was the practice of the secret mantra Vajrayana. Now, what was the result of these secret mantra Vajrayana? Well, the results were in India, there are the 84 great Mahasiddhas, the 84 great masters of the Vajrayana. And among them, there were especially the 8 of the greatest Mahasiddhas. And so there were male Mahasiddhas, there were female Mahasiddhas. They led many different types of life. They engaged in many different types of conduct. And at the same time as they had all their own particular types of lifestyles, they were also able to practice the Mahamudra and Dzogchen. And many great masters appeared who attained great results. And so this is what happened during the time when the secret mantra Vajrayana spread. And when they did this, they were able to attain the results. And the results did not take a long time to produce as they do in the Mahayana. Rather, in the Vajrayana, it's possible to attain the result of the unified state of Vajradhara in one lifetime and one body. And even there are many who may not have been able to attain that in one lifetime or one body, but who are able to attain the result in 1 or 2 lifetimes after that. And so, for this reason, it's a practice where you're able to attain the ultimate result of the state of Buddhahood, the state of Vajradhara.
Tene ta tela tene jagrate yurtu tambi chutarne tene zangling sani mombola rimbi tene tarware la ta tarware te inaya tinha ne ta tandang aranso tambi chunyons lembate pe konchin chi jonso tarwe ke tambi chute imbichirna ta tikorne shona tene ta jagraji yurne rimba yendola pe kongjinji jongso tar tene pe kongjinji jongso tarwe kapsula kande tarware se na tipa chungu ta tipa chimbo ta songho doji tipa sunga te nyamso lembe ke tene tap tala tene trupa tope ke tap ta tende je ke tambi chue te nyamso lembe ke tsurji menga tabu te sunga re la tene te tarwe kapsula ya tene rimba yendola jitang duji hinta chimbo ji se ta chulu te se nang menga ke chepar te se mandawa ji rabo chempare la ti na ni zo chewa tan ji tin ji khom na yong su trapa tar je on to se na sa ge kar nyen te sa cha ka ju nima gelu te chulu chimbo ye chempare chulu chimbo ye chempate ta te si jipa mandawa re ma to tambe chu je on to se na ngo chikpa songo do ji ti bi chu nyam so lemba teni chi songo do ji ti bi chu nyam so lemba lembe ke chulte yo tanda kondu hyupa tarto, tipa chungo tang, tipa chimbo tang, songo doji tipa sunga, tapche to nyamsa lembe ke tapche. Mengo la tene, tambi chu, tene, tarwa tang, pelwa, rela, te pelwe ke kapsula ya, ta tambi chu te trasi, pelwa tsa mayimpa, tambi chu la tene, rebu topa tang, trupa topa tang, rangten pusum tsopa chunga tang, yenten pusum tsopa, chunga tene jibu chebar chin samji machapa tambi chu nyansi lemba la tene tuson gongson cheba la tene chunga re.
So that is how the Dharma spread in India, and then it spread from India to many other lands. But here, since we are primarily practicing Tibetan Buddhism, we'll primarily speak about the Tibetan. And so gradually the Dharma spread from India into Tibet. And how is it that it spread at that time? Well, when the Dharma spread from India into Tibet, then primarily the practice was to practice the teachings of the Hinayana or foundation vehicle, the Mahayana, and the secret mantra Vajrayana all at the same time. And so there's a method to practice all of these different vehicles together. And so that is a sort of common way of practicing that was taught, the instructions were given. And so when this spread in Tibet, this spread in what are called the 8 great chariots. This means 8 different traditions of Dharma that developed out of some distinctions in the instructions. And then through these, there developed what we know well, or are well known now as the 4 great lineages of the Sakya, the Geluk, Kaju, and Nyingma lineages. And so these are the 4 different lineages that appeared. But even though they are different lineages, they come from a different lineage of lamas, the Dharma that they teach is actually the same in essence. The way of practicing the Vajrayana teachings is the same. As I mentioned a moment ago, they all practice the foundation vehicle, great vehicle, and Vajrayana teachings all together. And so these are the instructions that they use, and these instructions spread and flourished in Tibet. And when the instructions spread and flourished in Tibet, it's not just that the instructions flourished, it's that actually there were a lot of people who practiced this. And through practice this, they attained great benefit for themselves and for many other sentient beings. There are a great number of wonderful masters who appeared and who followed the practice of first listening, contemplating, and meditation to attain wonderful results.
Tene ta te tardo chulu jimbo ye. Ta tarne ta rimba yendula ta ngaranzo jang America linchin la ya rimbi ke tar te tarwa te ya tene tanda jitang ke tarwa za maimba jitang ke chula deba ji deba te ya deba Juma Zomaimba, Shini, Deba Topa Sinkinte, Tachi Nambakanga, Shiraptan Dembatan, Junsin Hipa, Shato Indu della, Tene Chu della, Nengo Candido, Chu della, Pento Candido, Tene, Della Tene, Tachitang, Zonlin Chilla ina, Candisi Penkindo, Te Yendo Konza Gerla ina, Candisi Penkindo, Tene Te Junsin Yapo, Hine, 다 전남바서 담비추에 냠스 레인 담비추지 고라 효 난기요레라 드니데 베메시베 칼바상 보충어레라 드니 다디펠 베공진지 종소 담비추에 따르 값을라야 드니 케파토 투투 체버진 섬지 마자바만 보셈바레 단다야 데타르도 센주레라 드니 마음 디나네 다 단당하란게 슈야데 조 가리레세나 다 단당하란 조간가 지당게 줄루 전부 열라 제버칸 요 마레데 이나야 다 랑랑소소 추고를 휴브 값소 드니 단나 가지베 템발라 휴바인드 다 가지베 온데 세나 드니 투토 제버지 섬지 마자바 젬바레 드니 투토 제버지 다 텐조니 용스 트락바 드니 페나 마르발로자다 말라리에바다 드니 타보름보지 라소바지 마메토섬 cheparajin de sembarella. Tini de so kamapa country naram to sembala soba. Kaju seritiwa seta, tandi partula, jipa machipa, mengo ke jipa machipa, nyomling ke jipa machipa, tindi sembarella, tini tanda chenamba tichugo la hyo, chu nyomsa len, tepato mugu je, chu la ichi je to pati, pe tanda, juma zamaimpa. Kiawa ngama la ta sonam je tsu so pe top ji chunga hyada imba re samba re la de ta bu chona tini ti ge chu chu go la hyo chu nyam se len tini de pe me si pe kalwa sang bu chunga re.
And so that is how the four great traditions spread in Tibet, and then gradually they have now begun to spread here in North America. And it's not just that they are spreading here in America. It's actually that a lot of people are developing faith in the Dharma. And when developing faith in the Dharma, this isn't just ordinary sort of faith. This is actually faith that comes from knowing. You all are intelligent. You're using intelligence and you know the reasons and you're thinking about things. And so you're thinking about, well, what is the point to the Dharma practice? What is the benefit of doing the Dharma practice? How does it benefit me as an individual? How does it benefit the world in general? And so you've come to know the reasons, and through knowing the reasons, then you've started to practice the Dharma. You've entered the gate of the Dharma. And so this is the point that we're at now, that the Dharma is now spreading. And so, like when the Dharma spread in Tibet, there were an incredible number of great masters and scholars who appeared. And so now that the Dharma is spreading here, there's also the chance that the same number of great masters and great scholars will also appear here. And so this is something that we all need to realize. Now that we've entered the gate of the Dharma, of course there is no real difference in essence between the Dharma teachings of the four great traditions, but we all, when we entered the gate of the Dharma, we've entered the gate of the Kaju Dharma. And so when we think about the Dharma of the Karma Kaju lineage, there are an incredible number of great masters who have appeared. As we all know, there are great masters such as Marpa the translator, the great yogi Milarepa and Gampopa, and many other wonderful masters, including all of the incarnations of the Karmapa. So this is like the golden mountain range of the Karma Kaju lineage. And so this lineage is still present. The practice is still present. All of the instructions are still present. And so for you to be able to enter this and to practice, for you to be able to develop faith and devotion in this lineage is really extremely wonderful. And so that faith is not just, it's not just an ordinary faith, it's not just an ordinary entering the Dharma, it's not just the Dharma ordinarily spreading, but really this is the sign that for many previous lifetimes you have really gathered an incredible amount of merit. So that is definite that is how it has happened. And so now you have entered the gate of the Dharma, now you are beginning to practice. And so this is really wonderful.
Tombo Jagala Chutarwiki Sultan, Tene Jesu Pella Chutarwiki Sul, the Hugubi Junsin, the candidates, Tankumaya Chu de Noms Langior, Chu de Noms Lane, Tene Tatan and Drebu Togior, Drebu Topne, Tene Randan and Yendan Pusun Sopa Jungiorella, Tene Tanda in the young Aranso Chu de Noms Langior, Chu de Noms Lana, Tene Huma. Lama Cheparchin Tenzu Topa Tikpa Naransoya Topju Imbecherna Pe Tanda Tombichu Gola Huba Tombichu Nyonselemba Tanyons Nyamlena Zendru Jachempo Tang Topnayam Pe Angetamborella Teta Buchula Zendru Teta Matobnaya Tombichu Gola Huba Tombichu Nyonselamba Tela Tenen Trula Andabota Pento Map Andabota and Roya Yomarella Teacherna Chenamba Tombichu La Shujutan, Tombichula, Chanjana, the PMS Calvasangpore. Calvasangpore, La Calvasangpo, Imba Yendo, Tandoyo, Tenite, Chinambakanga, Trembata, Higin Tene, Nyamlin, Yapoche, there's Zendri Cherutan, Nyamni Zangdo Tang, Tinde Tang Tupna, Pe Maung Pal Pento Chimbo Yungi Ware.
Now, the reason why I have been discussing how the Dharma spread in India and how the Dharma spread in Tibet is that now we can know that in the past there was this Dharma. People practiced the Dharma, and through practicing the Dharma they attained results. Through attaining the results of the Dharma practice, they brought great benefit to themselves and they brought great benefit to others. And so now when we practice Dharma, that is the Dharma that we are practicing. And because we are practicing that same Dharma, then just as in the past many lamas and great masters appeared, so too can we also do the same thing. We've entered the gate of that same Dharma. We're practicing that same Dharma. And so if we are extremely diligent about our practice, then that is completely wonderful. That is first rate. Even if we can't be that diligent about our practice, we are taking the teachings, we're receiving the instructions, we're practicing them, and there is nothing about this that can be wasted. There is nothing about this that won't bring us any help. There's nothing at all that won't be helpful. And so, for that reason, for you all to enter the gate of the Dharma, to take the teachings and to be diligent about them is really incredibly fortunate. And so please continue to practice as much as you can. So please continue in the future to try to use even more mindfulness and awareness so that you can have even stronger practice, so that you can be even more and more diligent about your practice. And so if you can do this, this will be extremely beneficial for you in the future.
Tene ta te jeso ta tanda kirdo sombi chudi nga ta te na ne mixal to ta unta namji ka korte chujurela tene te ya sombi chudi nga sedu chitang tanda jalsap chambang kambosi ta tanda zob sonji jamden de ji kong jalsap tabla 당보 상지점 된 지팅도 셈백ala jalsap tabla nga sol na orela nite jasa chambangan bote gadin lai yo yore la tene kong sumbege tenju de nga yorela ta tela ya kepa mambuge sena tene te lai yola melege mare sambanda bota tene jasa chambangan bosengen te ya gadin lai yo ni chusuma mare tanda me yendo che ta lamanda bota gewi ni cheparchen che chamba injire tige chanchu de nga de sumare sumanda bo ta tinde sungi yore de ina ya tela tene ngarang samsul te ta ngarang ichi che sulte te ta manda ware pi junsin karire se na cherdo kandi ina yo rong ta che namba kanga ngarang chu che hegre te nyengu do gone peparela tini tela ngarang che yinala melala chi hyune hyunan digmare ngarang kare song ye pati sebo che hyogu yore tini ta tela ichi che parchin chena ya rong ma chena ya rong ngarang somsulting ngarang tangbor hyogu ba imbe cherna tini jasa shambang gambo singin te tinde me tinde shamba mare gadin lai yo na yube tene mahon pala ngambar zobar sonji bi shamba de re tie tene papa thomi ginjal re tene papa thomi ginjal ne tene jasa shamba gambo thone tambi chu sanchu denga de semba re samba tangara ngune te la ichinda bu chege yo re la tene tanda cheno bala yo te tar to hyogi yen la tene ta te junsin karire se na chitang susuchi o tsuntong song tang de la o meje gadin lai yul legu mare jasa shambang gambo sinkin din jia yo mare tene ti chambi chu denga sung mare sumba rawo song yore de ina ya te dan drag mare karire se na chitang moda pala no hya yore la tapala top no hya yore top no hya du tel jasa shambang gambo drup Papa told me Jasa Shambanga Drup, Jasa Shambanga Bunjal, Jasa Shambanga Bunjal ne, Tene, Tati, Shambi Chudinga de Kong Sing, Tinite Ngaranso, Menjitin La Pel, Tatinde Nawa de Messipati Mari Sambandabuche, Yore La, Tine, Tati, Teta Buche Maina, Tine, Tatang Humag, Papa told me Namtartang, Loju Tenzu Ganando. Tene sunwa te jakzun rapochi shene, tene meche la shambare se jakzun shi, tene jakzun te tenchu te ya, tene jakzun re se hiye pan rapochi, hongsekre la te tabu se na kunde chimbolan drogo yo re sambato. Ta tende se du shambi chu te nga, te tanda jansa shambangambo rangi sunwa inji re, ta te la ichi chepar chinchi nan rigi re sambandabo, nga rangi samgi yo re la, te ya che nambala ya, te tarto, tene jansa shambangambo rangi sunwa inji re samba hiwa yi.
So now I'd like to speak about the five dharmas of Maitreya, and in particular about the differentiating the middle from the extremes. So there are these five dharmas of Maitreya. Now, Maitreya is a being who first, when he appeared at the time of the Buddha, he was appointed by the Buddha to be the Buddha's regent. So the Buddha appeared, appointed him to be his regent, and now Maitreya is in the heaven of in the heaven of Tushita, and so he then taught these five dharmas of Maitreya. Now, there are some academics who think that it's not possible that there could be someone up in this heaven of Tushita. It's not possible that there could be anyone in there. And even if it were possible that there could be, then it wouldn't be possible for someone to go and meet him there. And so therefore, there must have been some guy, some great master of some sort who taught these great teachings, and these are the five dharmas of Maitreya. And so that's what some scholars think. But the way I think the way I think about it is it's not like that. What I believe is different from that. Now, the reason I'm saying this is that when I teach you the Dharma, it's not okay for me to teach you Dharma that I think, well, maybe it is, maybe it's not, It's not okay for me to teach. I've got to teach you the Dharma. You've got to come here and listen. And so you've come here and listen. And whether you like it or not, I'm going to teach you the Dharma that I believe in. I'm going to teach you the Dharma that I believe is true. So you might appreciate it, you might think differently, but actually you better appreciate it. And so, so this is my opinion that I'm teaching you. And so in my opinion, actually, we can have confidence that Maitreya is in the Tushita heaven, and that he was appointed as the regent by the Buddha. And so it is possible for Asanga to have gone to Tushita heaven and meet him, and to actually receive these five dharmas of Maitreya directly from him. This is something that I truly believe, and so I ask you also to please also have confidence in this. And the reason I'm telling you this is that it's possible that the way we ordinary sentient beings might think about it, you might think, oh man, there's no way you can go to this Tushita heaven. And, even if you go there to actually meet Maitreya, come on, this just can't happen. There's no way that he could have taught this Dharma. You might think that. But it's actually not like that. Even though it might appear that way to us ordinary sentient beings, if we have impure perception, all we're going to see is impure appearances. Whereas if you have pure perception, you will see pure appearances. So Maitreya practiced Maitreya, and through his practice he accomplished Maitreya. And through accomplishing him, he was able to meet him and listen to the five dharmas of Maitreya from him. And so then from that way he was able to spread these in the world. And so I don't think at all that this is impossible. I think it is quite possible. And so I ask you to also keep this in mind. And so, if it weren't this way, then when we looked at all the biographies of Asanga and think of all the teachings and writings about him, this whole story would be false. It would be a complete lie. And then, if that were a lie, then we might think that the Dharma that he was teaching was also false. And so, this would be a really great, this would be a huge insult to the teachings. And so, in this way, if we really think about it, actually, these teachings of Maitreya were actually taught by Maitreya himself. And I think it is actually possible and quite good to have strong faith in this well. So that's how I think about it, and I ask you to all please have the same opinion.
Tene ta tela chitanga shapichu de nga se ta zo tongni zo temba tela tanda tene shirachi paru tsimba ngantu jen da jai tene te je so tomba nye dan yehi nye sangdun juba dewarhi bin himbo tembe ke thank you som tene jepan do de jen rimbo untan namje duba chuni namji de namba som tene te je so tene tanda sanji jindo ne sumba ton songho do je te pa ne sumba ni nyom do do ge tseto tenju chimbo je lama te namba nga yo arela ta tina ne ta tanda ngarang ge hya de tanda rimbo temba unta namji hyoge de hyoge yo arela tene unta namji te chitang kande jire se na ndo do hwa ni ge na ne ndo ita ware tene tipa chimbu ge ndo ita ware tene ndo ita waga na ne ya tanda kande chine ta tusong gom song ge na ne zo tusong ge ten la pape ge yol ndabu ji re te yina ya te pe tingen zen ta ngaran so tingen zen gom ne shaje chimbo to zopa chimbo gom ken pe pento chimbo hiro yore la tene pento chimbo ye pe ge junsin de kande ji re se na chitang ta tanda ngaran so gom de jap kabla ta chitang gom jap gom ge tre hyo pe mesi be kalwa sang chungwa re te yina ya ta te la te si salchan rabu ji chawna gom la ne kap drinking nam tu ngem ba kande du nam tu ngem ba kare du nam tu ngem ba dinde yore te la tene ten ngaran so ge nyembo ten te la ten hi ton po ye ya po ji ten ne nyom ne che na tig dripati sal top sona te la ten gom de ya po yung yor la ti dripati la che to som lo tang ne ya po ji ma si nang ma top na tene dripati kap ka la par du che ge yor par du che na tingen zain ton gom ten so ya po yung yor ma re la teacher na dripa khande imba dripa te pang ju yor be se na ya dripa te zani pang thuya yo mare khoran zani kha sia yo mare ngaran so le ye ni yo re sinkin da bo mai pa tine lobur du chuma de la lobur du chuma imbe junsen na tine ti ne ta te ya po ji ha ko na tine ti dripa te pang ya yo re dripa te zawani me pa si thu ge yo re tine te netan khande yobate tenla phapa jaita netan khande yobate tenla phapdu tene ngaran so lom ramba yendor dedu lom le tangpo pe khande se gongu khande samu tangu yo le tangpo pe ka so netan khande yo ti je so rimbi ge netan khande sinjor gere tene te je so sadan lom ten so ramba yendor la drep kap so tene khande ge nyom da no ata tene chepar khande yungi yor chorwa khande yungi yor chorwa tela tene ndrebunda bo khande thoge yor ta tenso salpur suma yimbe chirna tene chitang shosing ge thi na king dende gongure dende se ndogure se ne mengo de yor be se ne yo mare te yina pangja khande pangur pangja ngo de khande yor pangja de pangbe ge thap de khande gugure se ta tenso salbo tene ti ge long la khande chang gugure long la chembe ka lom la ta ndabo khandi thangre ta tinzo pe salvo yimba cheita ti nane tipa chimbu ga long la khandi chang go yore se ta tinzo pe salvo song yore la tini te chitang ngaran su chugo le hyungkin kangala pento chimbo yimba cheita ti nane mixal to ta tingen zeng to gong ge nyom ne nang kin so la pe te la tu som na pento chimbo yungkin jire
Now, of these 5 dharmas of Maitreya, the one that primarily teaches emptiness is the ornament of clear realization that teaches the Prajnaparamita sutras. Then there are 3 treatises that teach the union of emptiness and wisdom with a Buddha nature. And these 3 treatises are the long treatise, the ornament of the sutras, the middle-length treatise differentiating the middle from extremes, and the short treatise, which is distinguishing phenomena from their nature. And so then there was a 5th treatise, which unifies the view of the sutras and the Vajrayana, and that is the supreme continuum. And so these are the 5 treatises of Maitreya. Now, the one that I am going to be explaining here is the middle-length treatise, the distinguishing the middle from extremes. Now, why is it that we are studying this? Well, when we are studying the sutras in this teaching, what it primarily teaches between the teachings of the Mahayana and the secret mantra Vajrayana is the view of the sutras of the Mahayana. And among these, in terms of the types of practice of listening, contemplating, and meditating, it's primarily one that we listen and contemplate. And so this is a very important thing to do. Now, often when we, and it's something that is very beneficial for meditation, whether of Mahamudra or of Dzogchen. Now, the reason for this is that generally when we are doing our meditation practice is that we first take instructions, and we get the instructions, and this is really wonderful. But if we have a little bit more clarity in our practice, then it's really beneficial. We have to know, what is it when we're practicing, when we're actually meditating? What are the sort of disturbing thoughts that we can have? And so when we know if we know that, this is what the disturbing thoughts that we can have are, and these are what the essences of those thoughts are, then we know that we need to use this sort of an antidote. We need to use our mindfulness and awareness. And then if we do that, then we will be able to eliminate that obscuration. We will be able to have more clarity, and then our practice will do better. And so it's for that reason that that we do this. If we don't particularly study and just try to do our practice right off, then it will not really be able to. We won't be able to really develop our meditation and our samadhi, because we won't know what the obscurations are. And so we have to know what it is that we need to eliminate, because if we don't know, then we won't be able to do anything, and we'll think, well, there's this something that's sort of obscuring my meditation, but it's always been there. It's been there from the beginningless time, and I can't do anything about it. Actually, we have to know that obscuration is adventitious. It's temporary. And if we understand what the nature of that is, then we will know what it is that we need to do to eliminate it. We will realize that we know that we can eradicate it entirely. And so we have to really come to completely understand what that nature of it is. And so then once we do that, then we can understand what is the path that we progress through. When we start out as a beginner, how is it that we are as the beginner? How is it that we then start to improve our meditation? What is the nature of that? And so then as we gradually gain experience, we move through the different paths, we move through the different levels in order. And so then what is the sort of experience that we can have? What are the features of all these different paths? What is the sort of result that comes out of the different types of meditation? So these are what this treatise teaches very clearly. And so then it's a little different than if we have instructions on just Mahamudra meditation, instructions that say, meditate like this, sit like this, and do that. That's not what is taught here, but rather it tells us what is it that we need to eliminate. What is the essence of what we need to eliminate? What are the methods to eliminate it? What are the paths that we follow? How is it that we need to be diligent? What are the signs of progress? And so in this way, it's teaching the entire path of the Mahayana. And it's teaching this path very clearly in a way that we can all follow. And so it's very beneficial for us to to request these and to listen to these instructions. And in particular, it's very beneficial for our meditation and for our samadhi.
Tene ta togong ge chunting desam chena samsong la tene sani nani chunting sempe kapsula jitang ge tangaran su chu sin chu nyam su lempe bengola kari gugre sena sem ge nyam la pemba che gugi yore la te nyamlin la pemba tin jung ge thap la kandi gugi yore sena tene tangpo ne kulung number tapa tene cherdo rangin senjin tamji la pembe ge kulung to tene rangin senjin tamji korwa dunga ji jansu le talu ge gupa tang penya cha samne ta kulung chepar chi gugre la tene chitang ge che namba tambe ju la deba yore mugu yore shirab yore zendru yore tese du te la kulung yapo shira yore te inaya susi chi o senkin te kapka la kulung tapa tong maraba ni nre de pandabo ta kapka la tese kulung maraba pandabo yung segi yore la tene te tachi nani kulung nyamba kulung tese maraba pandabo ta kulung maraba ta maraba ni nre de pandabo chong na ya te ducha rebe se na ducha mare ngaran su korwa thoma me pa ne kampe pacha yore te inaya ta te la ten hi pa ye te ne rimbe ge jujur na tene te la te ne pento chembo yung yore la tene kulung rang la tachi se ne kulung number tapa go ne chu nyam selemba ta tene chu la tu som se pa ten so kanga na ru chi shogi.
So I thought that would be enough for this evening's talk. But now, during this period when you're going to be listening to these teachings and meditating, then at this point it's really important that we do something that actually is going to be beneficial for our minds and beneficial for our practice. And in order for that to happen, it's important for us to have a pure motivation, the pure motivation of wanting to benefit ourselves and others, to free all sentient beings from the ocean of suffering of samsara. And so that is the sort of motivation that we should have. Now, all of you have come here out of great faith and devotion in the Dharma. You are all very intelligent. You are all very diligent. And so it's definite that you all have a good motivation, but we're all ordinary individuals. And as ordinary individuals, it's possible that sometimes, pure and impure motivations might mix. Or it's possible that sometimes we might have a somewhat impure motivation. And if this happens, if we have an impure motivation or a mixed motivation, is this something horrible? It's not really something horrible. We're all ordinary individuals. And because of that, we have been habituated through and have many imprints from beginningless samsara. But if it does happen and you notice it, please use your mindfulness and awareness to try to fix your motivation. And if you do this, then this will be very beneficial. And so please, in this way, please to try to generate this pure motivation as we practice the Dharma and as we listen and contemplate it.
Se